So, thank you. Have you asked a question that can be answered? Let me get this off of there. Got it. I like this quote from Bertrand Russell. The greatest challenge to any thinker is stating the problem in a way that will allow a solution. And this bears repeating. If you don't know what you're looking for, how will you know when you found it? And how do you know that it's right? So central to the topic is avoid peripheral terms that are off target. Do you know the definition of your question? Leave the common terms together and try to keep it short. I don't like more than 3 strings when I'm doing research, because when you get past that, you're getting a lot of mud. The other thing is to know that you've got to be very careful about what you're seeing more and more and more, because there's so much misinformation out there, and we want to only focus on what's good information. So we need to organize ourselves. And, you know, when you went to the library, you had your notebook, you had your books, you could stay organized. Researching online can get really out of control. So I'm dating myself. People remember this, the card catalog, which kind of would be nice to have again, but anyway. These are some sites for saving your information online. And certainly as authors, we know Scrivener, but there's other places, things you can use. Some of them are free, some of them you pay, but they help you organize your information. And, you know, unless you want to use, you know, a whole bunch of folders. This is, again, one of the, I'll get that up there, toolkits for organizing your work. And here's another one. This is a list that you have on these various different tools and it helps you to stay focused on what you're looking for, as opposed to having all kinds of, you know, notes out there. So I had to put this in. This was just for fun. And when I start my research, and one of the things that's important to know is there's secondary research and there's primary research. Secondary is what's already been published. When I was first starting to research my book about Sarah Jane, I read everything that had been written about her. I went to newspapers, magazines, I went to the library and I looked at microfilm and microfiche. What was out there about her? I made lists of the names of people that were in these articles and places. And what I did then is I did my primary research. My primary research was contacting these people and getting new information from them. And it's interesting how things can change. Somebody who was quoted several years ago and you contact them now, they may have other information for you. And boy, did I find out a lot of information. I also learned when I researched Sarah Jane online, most of it was incorrect. There was all kinds of misinformation. She was a Manson woman. She worked with the Symbionese Liberation Army. None of that was true. None of that was true. So this is what I said, is that I used this and it gave me new information for my book that had not been out there before. You don't want to be ambiguous. Words like passage, duck, run, they can mean different things. And if you use them in a search, you're going to be off in another direction. So you need to make sure that your words have no ambiguity. An example, capital, capital. So let's get into the web. We want to be clear on our conflicting definitions. What's the surface web? It can be Google, Yahoo, and Bing, and others, websites we know and love. What is the deep web? The deep web is anything that asks for a username and password. Ta-da. Okay. The dark web, and it's questionable. People always think of Silk Road and illegal activity. However, it's more than that. And I'm going to talk more about that. So when we look at the web, only 4% is on the surface. This is where you get 90% of your information. And the dark web is not as big also, but it uses the public internet and requires specific software for its access. So people, if you're curious about the dark web, one of the engines I use it is called, the browser for it is called Tor, the onion router. And I have the dark web on my computer, and I have used the dark web for research. And I've had a lot of success with it. And this is what you'll see if you go into Google and you look up the onion router and plus dark web, this is something that you'll see. But when I was researching Tribal Thumb, which was a nasty organization in the 70s that caused a lot of problems, they killed people. They also wanted to get hold of all the food distribution places in San Francisco, and they had shootouts. I found more information about Tribal Thumb on the dark web than I did on Google. So just an example. Now you're saying, Geri, I don't want that on my computer. Of course you don't have to do that. I'm just showing you something. So you might be familiar with now that you can hide your search, and you don't need to justify that you want to hide your search. One of the things is you get fewer ads by hiding your search. A common one and easy, and it's free, is Chrome Incognito. DuckDuckGo is very popular now. Freenet, we're going to talk about that. VPNs, I also have a VPN on my computer. It's $5 a month. Some of them are free, some of them you pay for. We'll take a look at that. But I really like hiding my search, especially I do so much research on all kinds of things. I don't need 9 million Google ads, coming at me every second. And of course, Tor is also hide your search. This is Freenet, and it's a good one. They're all pretty much the same. The virtual private network, I like. It hides my search. It's, like I said, I pay $5 a month for mine. And I like it. This is what it looks like. Basically, there's you. Everything goes into the VPN, and then you get your information. And they basically are the holders of your search. This is Chrome's Incognito. It's easy to use. It's free. It's there. Easy peasy. This is DuckDuckGo. It's gotten more and more popular. So let's look at some other search engines. And you probably remember all of these. These are, places we know and love. And you can go to Search Engine Guide and see. But what I'm going to show you about these is how they're going to be different from one another. Each one is a book. Just think about it that way. Each one is a different book. This is also something that about Google, when you go to search on Google, if you don't, they have an advanced search page, and this is what it looks like. So when you want to search on Google, you can actually define your search even more than just with a search string. This is a search engine that I found that is absolutely phenomenal. It's called Search Engine Colossus. This is what it looks like. It is absolutely phenomenal. And I would encourage you to check this out. It's global. And you can see there they have all kinds of searches, but this is a First Nation seeker. This is all these different countries, I'm sorry, out there. So I played around with it, and I picked a country. I picked Poland. The nice thing about this is I can search in Poland in English, which is really cool. And each of the countries will show you the different languages that they offer in terms of your search. South Africa, you can search in Afrikaans. It's really an amazing place to go check it out and see what else you can find about this. This is first, I'm going to get this off of there. Oh, it's gone. Government sites, and I'm always doing something about a government. I need to know something about the government. This is first gov.gov. And it's handy to know if whatever you're writing, if you need government information, especially on your mysteries. This is a list of government sites that you have in your handout. And you can actually search on a lot of these sites. You don't have to be part of the FBI. Here's the Central Intelligence Agency, and you can search on their site. They've got a search box. What do you want to know? If you're doing anything about the government, it's pretty cool to check them out. Here's more information on a government site for the FBI. I did a lot of research with the FBI and the Secret Service for my book. It's creative nonfiction, but I wrote it like a novel. But I needed a lot of information because Sarah Jane Moore shot at the President of the United States. And by the way, she missed his head by 6 inches. That was never out there. The only reason she missed his head is because the sight was off of the gun. Quoting Richard Vitamonte, who was the case agent with Judge Conte, he said, "Our blood ran cold. She had him between the eyes." So I needed a lot of quotes from those guys. Here's another list. Public search engines, SEO, CEO Express. These all offer you different kinds of information. There can't be too much. This is Wikipedia. Don't dismiss Wikipedia, and I'll tell you why. It's grown and they have references and sources, and this is at the bottom of that page. I'm there, St. Martin's Press, the U.S. Secret Service. All of these are citations for what Wikipedia is talking about. So I don't just dismiss them out of hand. I use their sources. This is chat. We have to talk about AI. Wouldn't be complete if we weren't talking about AI. This is ChatGPT. I looked myself up on ChatGPT and on Bard. Bard is from Google. There are 3 separate AI searches about me, and I'm using these as an example so we can know what's right and what isn't. Then I have another idea for you. So they have information about me, about the medical detective. I never wrote that. I have no idea who that is. I never worked for the New York Times. I never worked for USA Today. I never got the Independent Publishers Award for the Next Generation Indie Book. This is all incorrect. I am a member of the Society of Professional Journalists. That's true. I did write Taking Aim for the President. But I don't know who this Geri Speiler is, but she's a lot more accomplished than I am. This is Bard. And this one is accurate. And this Bard is by Google. And this information is accurate. USA Today did write an article about my book. And that is true. This is added information about the book. So I don't know who The Death of a Hustler is. I never wrote that. I like that they say I'm a talented writer. I'll take that. Kirkus Reviews. So it's an interesting conversation because this is not going away. I found the best way to use AI is to ask for references. I said, I want to know about, I want references on kidney disease. This is accurate information. One of the ways you can use AI safely is basically, instead of asking a question about a topic, ask for references, and they'll give you accurate references. So just wanted to throw that out there as something that you can, think about. Here's more references. This is accurate information, National Institute of Health. So what else is out there? Everything is still not on the internet. There's periodical lists in magazines and newspapers and articles. More is getting digitized, but there's a lot of stuff, as I found when I was researching my book, that was not digitized. And I went to the library and I spent hours at the library going through microfilm and even microfiche. You can rare and specialized books. If you're local, you go to the Bancroft Library at UC Berkeley. You can use their books there. You can't take them out, but they have a lot of wonderful rare books. Reference librarians are your friends. When I was looking up things in San Francisco Chronicle of 1975, it had not been digitized. So given how vast the internet is, it doesn't have everything. And I think it's important to know that if you're just doing your research online, you're really not doing all your research. But you can go to the library from your home. And I bet you almost everybody's probably done that. You have a library card. You can just sit in your fuzzy slippers and use the barcode and go online and take advantage of all of their amazing databases that we probably wouldn't have. They're very expensive. So as we said, we get those for free. The local libraries have them, but you can also go to other libraries. I have several library cards. I went to San Jose and I also went to San Francisco. So I recommend that to advance your search. Like I said, you can do it from home. These are some other library databases that you might want to be familiar with. They are really phenomenal. And this is another list that you'll have. But you don't even really need these. You can just go to your library or talk to the reference librarian and say, hey, I'm looking for this. What do you recommend? Now we're going to do some comparative searching. And we're going to use several different search engines looking for the same information and see what they come up with and how they come up with it. So here is, I can't see what this is. This may be Google. It came up with Wikipedia, all that's interesting, history on the net. Excuse me. So I looked up, I can't see what this is, but one of them, can't see it, okay. One of them has information here, newspaper archive. Let me go back. Yes, sorry. There are no citations on this information. A lot of the information is incorrect. The bullet flew wide of its target. No, it did not. It was 6 inches off of his forehead. As Richard Vitamonti said, we had him between the eyes. Why didn't we know this at the time? The FBI, this is cited in my book, I'm not making this up, said that they didn't want the public to know how close we came to another assassination. And they just let her go. They said she was alone. You know, she just wanted to be famous. She shot wild. None of that was true. She was groomed by tribal thumb to go after Ford. And the reason they groomed her is because she looked like any neighbor on your street. Nobody was looking for a middle-aged housewife. They were looking for a young man. Since she shot at Ford, the Secret Service profile of a potential assassin includes everybody now, even me. This is newspaper archive. And I got 1,788 results for Sarah Jane Moore. This is using DuckDuckGo, Wikipedia, Daily Mail, San Francisco Gate. These are results from Wikipedia. All these references. This is a screen capture for the US Secret Service. And like I said, you can search there. I put in Sarah Jane Moore, and they have a lot of information about her, obviously. But I want to show you is that you can search on these sites. They're available and they're free. This is another one. I think maybe this is Google. It's kind of hidden at the top. But I got all this interesting and history on the net. History on the net has no citations. So this is also incorrect information. The bullet missed Ford's head by several feet and bounced off a wall. That's not what happened. After Oliver Sipple grabbed her arm. But he didn't grab her arm when she first shot at Ford. It was, she shot at Ford and then he grabbed her arm. This is more Google. We have Fox News, we have Vintage News, we have YouTube. Vintage News, again, no citations. The red is incorrect information. So I think I'm getting the point across that you really need to be careful of what you're finding online. And if there's no citations, I would be very careful, or I would then take this information and do more research on it. Thing I never want to have in my books, because they're nonfiction, is incorrect information. There's always somebody out there who's going to read your book and they're going to say that never happened. That hasn't happened with me so far, but I was like hysterically careful about it. This is another screen capture. And we have all that's interesting: Fox News, Truthdig, Daily Mail. This is Tor. And this was my dark web search. So now that I've drummed that into your head over and over and over again, let's look at some specialty sites. There's several industry-only websites that offer a lot of professional or specific information you may not get otherwise, or you may not know about. So we can do searches on medical sites where you don't have to be a physician, you don't have to be registered with the site. You can search on there for free. And if you're, this is information that you may have for your book, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, you can do these searches. So I went on to Science Direct and I searched. It said, I don't have to sign in. I don't have to register. I can just search. Here's another one, the New England Journal of Medicine. I can search on there for free. And this is really good information from these very professional sites. Here's the New England Journal of Medicine page. I can just search on that. I can do what I want with it. I don't need to be a physician. The National Library of Medicine, PubMed. There it is. I can search. And that's how you're going to get accurate information. If you're looking up things that are medical, you certainly want to have it right. So you need to go to the sources of that's going to give you that information. Here's the National Library of Medicine. I can search there for free. Legal. This is another one. The libraries will usually, I think, have Westlaw. You may want to check that out. The library is going to have a lot of databases, but if you're still sitting at home and whatever you want to do, you can still do legal searches. You can request a free trial and do your searches. Here's the Westlaw legal search. You can sign up for that and get a free trial. LexisNexis, you can also get a free trial with them. Or you may want to check your library, see if they have it. Clio is another legal site. You can get a free trial with them as well. There you go. Pacer is public access to court electronic records, and all journalists know about this. This is public. You can use it. You don't have to be a journalist. If you're looking for a federal case, you can go here and you can look it up for free. You may have to have some information, but basically this is available to anyone. This is Pacer. Just little information. How do I get Pacer? And it'll take you through some steps. but it's great if you're looking up court cases and getting some of that information. So like I said, this is some information you'll need to get on there to find what you want. But I love this because it really adds a lot of color to what I'm writing about. So now we're going to go to a meta search engine, and a meta search engine is a search engine with several other search engines in it. So the bigger bang for your buck kind of thing is what it is. And these, some of them at the bottom are there for that. Zula has 10 search engines. So if you look something up on Zula, you're going to get a lot of information in that one search. So I was looking up penguins, and this is what I came up with. So I also looked up penguins on Metafilter, and they have, I can't see how many search engines we have there. I think they have 20. I looked up penguins there. And this is Turbo Scout, and Turbo Scout has 90. So I looked up penguins there, and then I wanted to get pictures of penguins. And this is DuckDuckGo, looking up penguins. And this is Google. And I put penguin plus bird because I was tired of getting the teams. So the point is, you look up one thing on several sites, you're going to get different information. And that gets back to saying, why would you use one book? I want to see as much as I can find out there on a search. What's going on in Bing, in Google, in Ask, in Yahoo, in meta search engines? What's out there? What am I missing? Directories are good sources. They're compiled by people or organizations. If you think about, American Medical Association, that's a directory. There we go. This one's a directory of open access journals. Lists websites by topic and region. Sources is a website for journalists, but anybody can use it. It's not restricted. Starting Point charges a fee, but they have a lot of information as well. And then the World Wide Web Virtual Library is the oldest directory on the web. And these are places that you can do your research to see what's out there. And here's specialized directories. Library of Congress, of course. Yahoo has a directory. Libraries have the catalogs. There's reference desk. And Google has a directory. They have a lot of directories. So that's another great source of information. You just go in and ask Google for a directory. And you may want to put Google plus directory plus your topic and see what it comes up with. So we're talking about the invisible web or the deep dark web. It's not by standard search, but Google and Bing will get you there. Yippee is a good search engine for biotech research. This is what I looked up, and this is what it gave me. This is a list. These are deep web search engines and databases for you. I think this goes on to a second page. Yeah. So this is a list on your handout, your file. And I would play with these. I would go into some of them just randomly and put the same information on each one and see what happens. See what else you get that you may not have known about had you just used one search engine. This I found online, National Center for Writing. The way they spell center, I'm guessing this is UK. but it's free resources for writers. And it looks like it has a lot of fun information. They talk about character, they talk about plot, they talk about dialogue. Keeps going. I haven't researched this extensively, but it looked like it had a lot of fun information that could be helpful that I hadn't thought about. So we're going to take a look at some other search engines and what they offer. Bing, we know about Bing. It enhances MSN search engine. I like Bing. I get different information from Bing than I get from Google. Ask is still out there. It's pretty interesting. Again, it gives me different information. Some of them give me better information than others, but I want to check them out. And I didn't ask, I looked for best-selling books in 2022. My book did not come up. So obviously it's a terrible search engine. Sources, like I said, you don't need to be a journalist to use sources. I would encourage you to check it out to see what you can find. Maybe it doesn't help you at all, but it's free and it's there. AOL, I looked up publishing. And this is what I got. And it's interesting because from the different search engines, you get a lot of the same stuff when you look up publishing. So that's AOL publishing. This is Google publishing. And they talk about Random House and Lulu and self-publishing. This is DuckDuckGo on publishing. And they come at the company called Dorrance. I think they go out and try to publish people's books. They have Wikipedia. They have the definition of publishing. They had e-publishing links. And of course, it goes further down than what you can see here. This is Yippee. This was a meta search engine. And I looked up publishing here. And I got some interesting how Lulu came up again. Random House came up again. Merriam-Webster came up. And of course, Wikipedia. So you'd want to scroll down on this. But I wanted to see what they came up with. Independent book publishing with Google. So they've got Tiny Fox Press, Unnamed Press, C&R Press, Red Hand Press. These are small publishers that focus, I said, on literary fiction. Independent book publishers on DuckDuckGo. Different information here, not the same. Independent book publishers, book market, and news pages. And then something down there called Flavorwire. This is the golden age. Different information. Bing, Dorrance again. Outskirts Press, never heard of them. Discover Publishers, never heard of them. So again, looking at the same information on different sites gives you different stuff. So let's talk about how to phrase your search. So the best way to phrase it, using query that adding terms that are central to the topic, you know the definition of that term. Don't put something in there that you don't know, because then you're going to get stuff that you don't know. Leave the terms together in an order and keep it short. So where this takes us to search strings. Search strings, you know, you're probably familiar with the term Boolean. It's basically a type of search that pretty much everybody uses. And the string means we're stringing words together. On this, you'll see capital plus Washington State plus what is. Sometimes I add that, just basically saying, what is this? Washington with the asterisk. The asterisk means it's a wild card. Give me everything you've got. I don't know what I'm looking for. Or Washington, D.C. in quotes. Why in quotes? I want exactly Washington, D.C. So if I want an exact search, you put it in quotations. You get this list. And these are the hyphen search, which tells you what you're doing. The wildcard search, I said, use the asterisk. A date range, put in the date there. 2008 January to 2008 July. Quotes is exact. A blog search, you can use the term in URL, that means blog, or you can just put in blog and say, blog plus something or other. Google has a lot of blogs. File types, if you're looking for a PDF or a PowerPoint specifically, or a spreadsheet. The link search, if you're going to put, your website. So these are, like I said, Booleans at the bottom, and that's a very popular way that we do our searches online. I try not to use more than 3 words or 3 phrases, because then it can get kind of messy. But these are important, and this is in your list. We talked about quotation marks, FBI counterintelligence. I want that exactly. I want that phrase in all of my searches. And I did this using Google and quotation marks. Oop. Sorry, I didn't know those came up. All right, there we go. Don't fix that. FBI counterintelligence using Bing. I got counterintelligence, FBI, and counterintelligence division on Wikipedia. So we're looking at blogs on chickens. I put in URL hyphen chickens, and I got all this back. So these are chicken blogs. People search. There's a lot of places you can do people search. Some of them are free. Some of them are free, then you pay. I have found them very accurate. When I was researching my book, I was looking at people from 30 years ago, women who probably changed their names. I guessed that they were reasonably local. I found a lot of the people I was looking for using 2 people search engines from home that I paid for. So let's pretend we're looking up Geri Speiler. She lives in Palo Alto. Geri Speiler did business on El Camino in Mountain View. She's an author. She was vice president of Geri Corp. That's accurate. Zabasearch, looking up Speiler. There's a lot of other people with the last name of Speiler. Well, not that many. Marcia Speiler, I know. I don't know Deanna Speiler. So that's not it. I don't know who she is. Using US search, Geri Speiler. This is what's offered. And then if I want to know more, I pay for that information. But it's accurate. What they have on me is accurate. This is if we want to know more, you pay for it. Like I said, I used 2 people search engines and found people that I was looking for my book, even though it had been 30 years, and even though I didn't know where they moved or if they changed their names. But it was successful for me. And these are probably associates, my dad, sister-in-law, mom, relatives. Now, this is something you don't want to hear, but I can get your Social Security number online. It's out there. If you're worried about privacy, you're in the wrong business. Everything is out there. It's not that difficult anymore. So I make peace with it because it's there. So how do you know if the website is credible? Who wrote the website? Are they an authority? They have credentials, or it's just an opinion? Who is paying for this website? Where's the money? Follow the money. Is there something they're trying to sell you? What are they asking of you? And what's the scope of the site? Does it offer more than one opinion or a larger scope? And we're not talking about CNN or MSNBC or places like that. We're talking about organizations that have a website. I tested this out. I went online and I was looking up literature for the California Gold Rush, something really obscure out there. And this website came up. I never heard of them before, enotes.com. And I'm looking at it and it's like, well, this seems pretty benign. But who are they? The way I can tell is I go to the bottom of the page. Look at the bottom of the page. Do they have help? Do they have about us? Do they have contact us? When was this site last updated? Now, this one has an address, which is unusual. I don't expect that a lot of the websites have addresses, but they did. But that's not the point. The point is, can I contact them? Who are they? You know, who put this site together about us? Can I get help from them? That's how I will look at a website and get an idea about who is behind this website, and are the people behind this website somebody I trust? They had a phone number. Some of them have phone numbers. A lot of them don't. But again, what I'm really looking for is this part here. So if you can't contact someone, or there's no reference, or there's no about us, or help, or privacy, I would be careful about them. I would look askance at the validity and the information on that site. And we all know every day more stuff is getting online, and every day some of it's good, and every day some of it's really bad. So because there's so much information out there, you want the evidence that the author of the web information has authority. What organization or institution is the author associated with? Does the author have published publications? Are there clues that the author is biased? For example, what are they selling or promoting a product? And is it current? You know, if it's 7 or 8 years old, you may say this is out of date. Is it backed up by sources? Can the subject you're researching be covered with the web? Is there scholarly research about it, about what you're looking for? What kind of website does what type of website does appear on this site? And this is a quick and dirty called the CARS checklist: the credibility, the accuracy, the reasonableness, and the support. So if you just want to write down CARS, you can use that whenever you're going to a site you don't know. And, you know, I can't underline this enough. Besides looking searches up on many different websites and search engines, checking the credibility of a website. Plagiarism. That's the kiss of death. Everything on the internet is copyrighted. No matter what it is, if it's online, it's published, it's copyrighted. So you can quote it, you reference it, or you rewrite it. And these are some copywriting places. I like Copyscape. I use that on all my work. I just check everything. Because if I've quoted something or I haven't, noted it, I'm horrified. So as writers, we need to be very careful about that. So quick tips. I begin with secondary sources. I use deep websites and academic sites. I check citations. I follow up. I use different search strings for the same topic. And I research a minimum of 3 different search engines on the same topic, because I want to get, and I might do even more, but the minimum is 3. Who else is saying something about what I'm writing about? There's a lot out there, and I want to know who's saying what. You want to refine your search also. So if you look up a topic and you've got information on that, you may want to research that piece of information as well, so that you've left nothing undone, that you've gotten as much information as possible, that you feel confident that you can use that in your writing, whatever your writing is. And again, I've said this a million times. And these are the places that I use to do my research for this presentation. So I want to walk like I talk. And that's it. Thank you for joining me, and I hope this was helpful. And if you have questions, I'm happy to answer questions. Should I stop sharing now? I guess, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, there's a bright sun in here.
I thought I was a journalist until today.
We're always learning.
Wow.
I
It
am
was
a
helpful.
journalist. That's incredible. Thank you.
Yeah. A
Good.
question, Geri?
Yeah.
Yeah, Geri, when you wrote your book about President Ford and the near assassination, did you use footnotes for your own reference and then kind of when you went to publish the book, eliminate them?
No, I did not eliminate them. I had file cabinets of notes. And what I wanted a traditional publisher, because there's so much information in there that is unflattering to our government agencies, but it's accurate and it's noted. So my book has an index and it has notes. So everything that's in there is cited.
No, I didn't think you would eliminate them. That was, but maybe delete them for purposes of publication. But if I read the book, would it have footnotes or would it
And
just
notes. And they by chapter.
Okay.
So you'll see the notations in the text, and that'll refer you to the chapter and that citation about that piece of information.
Okay.
Every piece of information is extensively cited and noted, in addition, of course, to the index. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. And just one follow-up question. I understand you did do a Freedom of Information Act request and got it. How do you do that?
I did not succeed.
Oh,
I tried to do a Freedom of Information Act on Sarah Jane Moore, but they said you can't do it on her. She has to agree. And so fortunately, I didn't need to, because I was able to get in touch with her family and got enormous amounts of information about her family and growing up. And Macmillan was very satisfied with what I had. So I didn't, I went online and I downloaded a Freedom of Information Act document.
Okay.
And then, I filled it out and I wasn't successful.
thank you.
Sure.
I think we all feel like we've eaten a huge meal and we're all just kicking back, trying to breathe.
Well, I have to tell you, this particular presentation started in 2009 when my branch, I gave a presentation about the book, said, how did you do that research? How did you do that? And, when we're doing stuff, we don't sit back and say to ourselves, how am I doing this? We just do it, right? So I had to sit back and think about how I did it. And I did the first presentation and I got tremendous amount of, oh my God, you need to speak to my group and you need to speak to my group. This presentation gets updated constantly because things keep changing. And I've added more about AI than I did the first time. But it's maybe because of my training as a journalist and because of my horror that I'd have misinformation out there, I just researched like crazy. And because I didn't want anyone to ever challenge what I said in this book as not being accurate, and no one has ever challenged this book ever. Yes, Mike.
It's fascinating because we just had a presentation at our last meeting. Richard Spencer did one on AI, which was absolutely eye-opening for all of us.
Wow.
But I'm wondering, there are many books being published every day now, published using AI. And from what you just showed us, AI doesn't seem to be all that accurate. Are these books
No.
that are being published having accuracy problems as well?
Yes. You know, it's interesting because USA Today did an article about me and about my book, and the writer submitted her interview, and USA Today delayed it a week because they were checking it against machine learning, not machine learning, I mean, machine language. A lot of the places now are saying that we want to check this first to see if it, you know, reads like a machine learning kind of thing. So they're getting pretty, you know, they're getting very skeptical about it. You know, and as I showed you about me, there was a lot of misinformation there. I think it can be good for some things. I think it's good for research in terms of asking for references, which would basically save a lot of time looking, you know, I basically told Bard, give me references on kidney disease or something. And they came up with a whole list of medical references from PubMed and every place else. So I think it's, you know, buyer beware.
Anita had a question. Go ahead, Anita.
Okay. I'm in awe, having lived in many large metropolitan areas, but many of us who live in smaller communities don't have access to libraries with professional reference librarians. And I wondered, are there online options for accessing reference librarian services?
I think so. I mean, a couple of times I called the library and explained what I wanted to do, and they connected me with the reference librarian on the phone. And then she helped me, you know, because I was at home and they were there, I used my library card, and then she used that to send me links to databases that I could use. That may not be exactly what you're trying to do. What community do you live in?
Well, in the Victor Valley, to my knowledge, very few of the people who we find when we go into one of our libraries here are actual librarians.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not like, but when you're mentioning Berkeley, oh my gosh, I did research back in the 70s at Berkeley in the libraries. Yeah, it ain't gonna happen here.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I think if it were me, I would just I'd try to call a library that does have a real librarian. And you see if they can help you. All you can do is ask. They may be able to reference you, but usually I know libraries cards are local, but what if you got a library card to your nearest larger city? Where's the nearest big city, you know, that you could use?
Well, our library cards are good in all of San Bernardino County, which has the option of being the largest county in the country. But at the same time, yeah, it's not real funded. San Bernardino might do it. Fontana might do it. But yeah, it's not going to happen in the Victor Valley.
Right. So you need to reach out to a larger community and a larger library and see and talk to the reference librarian and say, how can you help me? They usually love helping people. That's their job.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, we don't, not
so
much.
Where you are. Yeah. That's what I would suggest.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
Do we have any other questions before we close?
Tom is raising his hand.
Tom, go ahead.
Tom.
Is my microphone working?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I emailed the Library of Congress. I emailed the Naval Academy librarian. I emailed San Bruno, California librarian. They all responded. I also have a Freedom of Information Act in process.
Hey.
And I ran into a wall, so I contacted Ober Nolte, and they're helping me with it.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. And thanks for the
I
information.
really love the
Anita.
librarians.
Pardon me, Tom?
I really love the librarians.
Oh, I love librarians too. They're the best. When I was
Absolutely.
researching the book, I would spend a lot of time at the library. They knew me. They'd bring me stuff to drink. They'd say, "Hi, what do you need now, Geri?" It was really great.
Well, Geri, on that note, I think we're going to call it a night. Thank you so very much for joining us and giving us this amazing presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I just had one question. Will there be a recording of this available? Because I arrived late, but it sounded amazing.
Geri, I did put it on to record, but I need your permission. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm happy to answer any questions. You have my email address. If you have a question you didn't think of now or something comes up, email me. I'm very happy to help if I can. And yes, use the recording.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure.
And
And
just a
share
reminder,
if you know the branches that want to see this presentation, I'm happy to give it.
excellent.
Thank you.
Also, Bob sent out a Word file that has a lot of the different references that Geri talked about. I recommend you go through that. It's pretty exhaustive. So it was a great compliment to what you gave us tonight, Geri. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I really had fun.
All right.
Thanks.
So do we. Thank you very much.
Bye.